When Victoria married Damian Aspinall, she also married his passion for animals. As the owner of 2 zoos, he was no stranger to exotic and dangerous animals. Soon enough, Damian decided to take his wife to Gabon to introduce her to 2 gorillas that he helped raise and release into the wild more than a decade before. The search for the wild gorillas was long and hard, but nothing compared to what happened when they finally found the gorillas. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Damian Aspinall grew up around exotic animals. His father, John Aspinall, set up Howlett's Wild Animal Park in 1957, where Damian grew up as a child. The 700-acre estate is located in Kent, England, and is home to a wide array of exotic animals. On the estate, Damian was practically raised by a surrogate gorilla mother. He even recalls that once as a child he was stuck in a tree and the gorilla came, put him on her back and climbed down. She even wiped away his tears and comforted him. But despite this warm connection Damian shared with animals from such a young age, nothing could have prepared him for what he would face with a group of gorillas he raised many years later. Howlett's Wild Animal Park was established when John Aspinall set up the charity organization Aspinall Foundation. The organization promotes wildlife conservation and proceeded to set up 2 zoos in the United Kingdom, Port Lympne Wild Animal Park and Howlett's Wild Animal Park. Both of the locations breed rare and endangered animals, such as gorillas and tigers. The organization has a project for orphaned gorillas and a project that reintroduces bred gorillas back into the wild at Plateau Buteke National Park in Gabon. When Damian became the chairman of the organization after his father passed away, he had big and wonderful plans for the animals, and it all started when he was just a young child. Reminiscing about his childhood, Damian recalled that he never had many friends come over to his house due to all the potentially dangerous animals, and that he felt far more connected to animals growing up than he did to humans. You don't get playdates when you've got tigers in the garden. The odd mate came, otherwise it was just me and the animals. To be perfectly honest, I've always felt disconnected, and humans inevitably let you down. Animals never do. There's more of an honesty and purity there, Damian told Daily Mail. Despite all that, Damian says that he had an extraordinarily blessed childhood. We've got Super 8 films from the 60s of me as a 7-year-old, playing with tigers and bison around a tree or tearing around the lawns with a gang of wolves, he went on to say. Damian also recalled being chased, along with some animals, by a swarm of wasps after upsetting a nest. He and all of the animals raced to get away from them, and he dove headfirst into a pond nearby in order to escape them. While Damian Aspinall may be a millionaire today, it wasn't always that way. His father, John, had refused to help him financially, so he made his fortune through real estate. When Damian's father passed away, there was no money left over. You have to understand that when he died, there was no money in the bank, and these parks were losing £4 a year. Now we have to find 10 a year, Damian said. I can see why the other family members didn't want to be involved. My brother and sister had no interest in animals, but I was compelled to do it. While Damian was growing up, he helped to raise a number of baby gorillas from birth. They became very close, as if they were children of his very own. 2 of them were named Jalta and Ima, both male gorillas. Both of the gorillas were planned to be moved back into the wild in a protected habitat, Damian explained in an interview. He firmly believed that saving the gorillas would ensure them the right to happiness, which animals so richly deserve just like humans. According to Damian, it's the key to coexistence on the planet. But there was more on the cards for Damian and his plans. In August of 2016, Damian Aspinall married Victoria Fisher, who was a Burberry employee at the time, in Tuscany, Italy. She joked that when she married him, she also married his animals and his love for them. After all, they come as a 2-in-1 package, and according to Victoria, that's just fine. She loves the animals just as much as her husband does. It might sound crazy, but I genuinely love the wolves as if they were my own children, she says. Kago even used to sleep in our bed. But the circumstances in which Damian and Victoria met are even more interesting. Damian and Victoria met by chance at a dinner party, and she, not knowing who he was, agreed to go out on a date with him. At the lunch date, he had all these stories about Howlett's, so I Googled him afterwards and couldn't believe it all existed. I wouldn't naturally go for that sort of setup, Victoria admitted to Daily Mail. And I don't think anyone would have put us together on paper. Damian would say the same thing. Neither of us was looking for the other, she added. This couldn't have been more true when Damian decided to introduce Victoria to his beloved gorillas. It had been over a decade since Jalta and Ima, the gorillas Damian raised as a child, were reintroduced into a protected habitat in the wild. Now, he wanted to locate them and check how they were doing. Though Damian had led expeditions before, this one was different. Was bringing along his new wife, Victoria. Neither anticipated the extraordinary encounter ahead. Jalta and Ima had once lived at Howlett's Wild Animal Park, forming a strong bond with Damian. He was curious whether they would remember him after so many years. However, fully grown gorillas can be unpredictable and dangerous. Damian also had concerns about how they might react to Victoria, who was a stranger to them. Before worrying about the reunion, they first had to find the gorillas. Damian, Victoria, and a team of experts traveled from the UK to Gabon, a Central African country known for its dense jungles and river systems. The gorillas had GPS trackers, but these only gave rough locations. The team faced rugged terrain and had to take a long riverboat journey into the jungle. Even with the GPS data, the dense forest made tracking Jalta and Ima difficult. Despite being monitored over the years, the gorillas' exact locations remained uncertain. Damian insisted on approaching slowly to avoid alarming them. After hours of fruitless searching, the team was close to giving up. But they had a backup plan. Drones. Using drones connected to Damian's smartphone, they scanned the area from above. At last, they spotted Jalta and Ima near a riverbank, an ideal place to approach by boat. The gorillas, curious but not aggressive, emerged from the bushes, watching the drone. As the boat approached, tension ran high. Would the gorillas remember Damian? Would they become defensive? Gorillas are naturally shy but can be dangerous if provoked. One wrong move could lead to disaster. The crew knew that approaching slowly and respectfully was critical. The gorillas watched the boat as it came closer. Damian retrieved the drone to avoid startling them further. A heavy silence fell over the boat. It had been 14 years since Jalta and Ima were released into the wild. Damian would go first. If the gorillas recognized him, it could make all the difference. But just how would Jalta and Ima react to the man who helped raise them? What's more, how would they react to Victoria? Damian slowly exited the boat into the waist-high river, careful not to bring it too close and risk startling the gorillas. Staying low to avoid appearing dominant, he moved cautiously toward them. To his relief, the gorillas showed no signs of aggression. Instead, they made soft, gurgling noises, familiar sounds Damian recognized as friendly. It was clear, Jalta and Ima remembered him. Encouraged by their reaction, Damian signaled Victoria to join him. She waded through the water, careful not to alarm the animals. When she neared the shore, Damian asked her to pause. He waited, watching closely. Then, one of the gorillas made the same welcoming sound they'd made to him. Damian nodded. This was the sign he hoped for. Victoria slowly approached and sat near the riverbank. The gorillas remained calm. Then, one came closer, gave her a gentle nuzzle, and wrapped his arms around her in a warm, accepting hug. With the initial introduction successful, Damian and Victoria left the gorillas for the day, not wanting to push their luck. The next morning, they returned, hoping to see them again, and they did. The gorillas were right where they'd left them. This time, Ima rushed over to Victoria, clearly happy. They embraced and played gently. Then, to everyone's amusement, Ima took Victoria's hat, sniffed it, and placed it on his own head like a human. The wholesome moment was captured on video and uploaded to YouTube, where it quickly went viral, garnering over 12 million views and tens of thousands of likes. Jalta and Ima were originally reintroduced to the wild in 2013 and continue to thrive in the protected habitat. Gorillas live in African rainforests and are categorized into eastern and western species, having been separated since the Ice Age. They rarely leave the forest, only venturing out for food. Some mountain gorillas have even been spotted at elevations up to 40 meters. Sadly, the western lowland gorilla population, like Jalta and Ima, has dropped by about 60% over the past 25 years. This decline is due to disease, habitat loss, and illegal hunting. All gorilla species today are either endangered or critically endangered. Damian and his family are working to change that. Gorillas are naturally shy and tend to avoid humans. However, if they feel threatened or startled, they can react violently. A silverback may give a warning by bluff-charging running toward a person and stopping just short. Staying calm and submissive during such a moment is crucial. Running can provoke pursuit, and gorillas are swift. In such cases, if they catch someone, they'll often bite without hesitation. But just how would Jalta and Ima react to the man who helped raise them? What's more, how would they react to Victoria,